I'm going live and I've got Lou. Gentlemen, post to the community, we're going live. And we are live now. How are you guys? How are you guys? Well done, well done. Got it. New chat replays now. Thank you very much. Okay, we're streaming. Hey, Fard, nice to see you. Yeah, so give us likes and get us to the top of the ranking if you can on YouTube, guys. And if you aren't subscribed, consider subscribing. So quick crypto update. The downside. Hey, Matt, how are you? Jonas, good day to you, buddy. Greetings. The downside for Bitcoin has continued overnight. Hey, Mark, how are you? Hi, how are you? Oh, good to see you. So I'm looking at a couple of charts while I'm talking to you. Bitcoin, wow, 3641 on Kraken. And actually, I said Kraken, that's actually BitMEX. Each time I try load Kraken, it first tries to bounce me into BitMEX. Each time it's XBT. 3639, almost the same. And so doing great guns at the moment on the downside. We've made our target on Bitfinex, but not yet on Kraken. So that's great. It's rolling over. Thank you, Stock Robert. We've been okay today. He says we're the best. We're not always the best. We sucker too occasionally. And that's method. You're not going to be 100% right. Good day, Snapper, says John Crane. Well done. And so, what about this? The thing I'm noticing that's interesting, and I'm having issues with the premium community guys communicating because of some internet issues. So they'll be joining on here, and I hope to see them in there. We posted it to the link because I just can't loom at the moment, and most of the time I'm looming first to them before I do anything public. But just so that you know, there'll be some members of our community on the live, and you can ask them questions or chats if you want in the chat as you like. But that's by the by. So crypto, what's happening? Well, we've continued to roll. So I went to bed at about 3 in the morning, 3:30 by the time I jumped in. I have a very, very patient missus. Luckily, she trades a little bit as well, and actually does quite a good job on it. She's killed the Turkish lira just single-handedly. I'm going to have to check that she's not some sort of lira whale, because she just, when I say killed the Turkish lira, the USD Turkish lira, the strengthening of the lira against the dollar. So she's she supported the lira. Which is a very brave trade. Anyway, so I was slipping into bed real late after our little visit to the hotel to pick up some web. Key thing is Ethereum, man, oh man. I'm looking at this target. It's got head and shoulder structure. Since it's given up, it's, what was it? The last big sell-off, if I'm looking at the charts, was in around the 222 level. So we had the 169 low pretty much nailed with method. It then rallied quite hard up to 250s. And now you're seeing, and I have a call out there, sub double digits for Ethereum, I said. Now, that was a long time ago I said it with the downside and all the big setups. I say long, I can't recall. You'll have to look through the history. I don't delete any YouTubes or tweets. The wrong ones, the good ones, the bad ones, or warts and all down there. It's too big a job when we go live too often. Have a look if you like. But Ethereum is 106. At $7 more essentially, and we're trading in the double digits. So some big headlines coming there. You know, I remember when it first went into triple digits. It wasn't actually that long ago, guys. It wasn't actually that long ago. And this has just been a big blow-off castle in the sky. It even looks like a castle in the sky. And one of the smart guys commenting, one of you, actually mentioned that the name came from the book Castles in the Sky, I think it was. Ethereum, so there you go. Wow, it's a bit unfortunate association, I would suggest. But anyway, yes, so Ethereum is looking exceptionally weak and near its lows. I think Bitcoin could go a little lower as part of its over to target, but I have and will be taking, I have on my Bitfinex shaved the lion's share of the positions. And I have a small holdover for residual. That means you'll probably get another chance to short, is the assumption. Eventually we'll be wrong. So one of these days, it'll be quieter on my front and you'll know we're being wrong and we're licking a small amount of wounds, but we've made our hay. And then we'll come out and say, hey, it looks like it's stopped going down. Let's see if it's basing out or whether it's just a bigger continuation pattern, or whether there's some sign of reversal. And that point will come. But thank you for your good conduct in the comments and keeping it orderly. I like a YouTube channel where, the people maintain a standard, and I appreciate you for that, and I really thank you for that. So what else can we tell you? So EOS hasn't made my downside target. I still have downside targets on that. So understand this is all part of the same asset category that's collapsing. Some may make targets, some may not. All could make targets, and we get some overperforming. We've already had, as I say, the Bitfinex target run, the 3744. So last night, we were still awaiting targets to be met. Today on Sunday, they have been met on some of the crosses. We've got Ethereum teetering $6 or $7 now away from double digits, which was a far away call with big macro type head and shoulder. In fact, it's too big. It could never make target. It would mean the thing goes bust. That's not a prediction, by the way. Sometimes you get negative. Deutsche Bank is another example of something that's given us a negative target. That's not me saying Ethereum won't exist anymore, but who knows what happens. I just think some patterns are too gigantic on the way up to give legitimate value targets on the way down. It's just looking exceptionally weak. Looking at it on the weekly, you've had 2 weekly candles since the let me get Ethereum back up. 2 weekly candles since what was its high point, 215-ish on the 2 weeks ago. You could have had Ethereum sold Ethereum for 215 2 weeks ago on our grind line. I've drawn that grind line so many times, and on the YouTubes that I've drawn, I've continued to show it. Big setup, massive overperformance. This one has just been higher beta compared to Bitcoin. Much bigger runs and much bigger spills. And 215 now trading 106. You literally halved it. That's a 50% haircut in 2 weeks. And as I say, we could have made all these calls on individual coins. It doesn't mean we're being smart a million times. It's the same. It's actually the same asset category deleveraging, with it being manifested in 11 different ways. Trading all 11 would have been stupid, because if you'd been wrong, your money management would have been blown and you would have been kicked in the backside in 11 places. So you take your 2 best and you run with those. And that's essentially what we've done. So yeah, good stuff. And what else can I tell you? So EOS, we were talking about. EOS still has downside. It's at 3.18. I'm afraid for my EOS friends, and there's probably a lot of decent people that are in EOS, but there were a few nasty trolls that they're going to potentially eat a little bit of crud there if it goes to target. The targets are in the 2s, the upper 2s. In and around, depending which exchange you're on, anywhere from 2.75 to 2.95s. So in that range, and you're at 3.18 at the moment. So you're 18 cents out of the 2 range. Remember, that was called when it was trading in the 6s. So again, that's a 66% haircut, and you can rinse and repeat. And you guys out there could do that too. This is the power of the method. It's totally transferable skill. My community guys are doing this and doing a lot of the setups themselves inside the sniper circle. I can't show you that because we can't show screen, but that's what's going on. So targets are being made on the downside, but they're still outstanding, which tells me there's probably a little bit more bleed out still to come before you get some respite. Everyone is asking, and often does from last night and the experience of going live, when do I buy? Sometimes the right question is not about buying. It's just about staying either out, practicing defense, or learning and developing skill sets and method to go short. Don't just jump in and start, okay, all I have to do is sell without having predetermined size, stop loss, and target. And this is where method and process comes in. But the question isn't yet, when do I buy? For those of you that might be tempted, when do we buy? When will we get the glory moments of the pump? Even if we do base out and recover, you have to recognize that the last 4 months, was it 4 months or 3 months of 2017, was a full-blown blow-off event. They happen like dot-com booms happen. Complete mania, and it's like a run of the lemmings. And eventually the lemmings all went over the cliff, and that's kind of like their population control mechanism. And I'm not a fan of that phrase. So just bear that in mind. It doesn't mean that you go straight into very fast gains. This is the reaction to the original hypervaluation. That doesn't mean the next stage is that. I think I've said that a few times in live streams before, so I don't want to over repeat, and I won't stay on as long as last time. But I just wanted to check in with some of you and say that is happening. So Ethereum at 1,622 now. Bitcoin, I'm going to take you to Kraken. If you guys are on Kraken, I'll tell you where you are. You're at 3,625, so it is bleeding out a little further. We're looking for 3,610 for our beginning of closure of positions. We've got a beautiful little wind up that also suggests that we should be closing and not overholding for much overperformance. So that is nice, useful information that only our method can deliver to us, thankfully. So there's no, we won't be kicking around for too much size for extra. So that does point to possibly a rally at some point. Don't think a rally. So let's define terms for those of you that don't understand. Phraseology and language matters if you're trying to be accurate. Don't consider a rally as meant to be bullish. What it means is you're in an overarching macro bear trend and you get one of those small, sometimes sideways, sometimes lightly up moves. So rallies are in bear markets, and they're the bullish, not bullish isn't the right word, but the counter trend move in a bear market. And corrections are the little down stabs when you're in an underlying bullish market. So it's a counter trend move. So corrections are counter trend moves in bull markets, and rallies are counter trend. So when I use language, I'm imparting information, and if you don't know the definitions, it can mess with you, and you get the wrong information, or you perceive it incorrectly. So a rally doesn't mean be a buyer. You could try to be super clever and trade a short time frame, and it's something we train out of you if you come on our program. In other words, we keep the world simple. When things sells, you sell or you're not in if it's going to be a rally. And when it's a buyer's market, just like we didn't try short this, the corrections. I think I literally did it once when we were really overdue a big one, and we had a high quality pattern on the bull market in Bitcoin. And I was lucky as hell. I got just under 3K after it traded about 5 on a sell-off. And I got out with a winner there. But I actually think I was bloody lucky and shouldn't be doing it. So generally we trade long or square in bull markets and short or square in bear markets. This reduces one of the choices. So you say, I'm a long only now, or I'm a short or square now. If you think the market's going to run and it's going to get uncomfortable for you now and have a little rally, you just get square. Don't try trade it up, because it trades up for a short while and then wham, the main trend resumes with a sudden violent spike down, and you just get cleaned out. So a couple of points of warning there for you. What do you think about the possible rounded bottom BT is forming now? Is it too short a time frame? Hey, Horim, thanks for coming on, and regrets for the Loom breakdown to all my community guys here. You're coming on through the main platform here. So I'm going to give you a full answer as a premium. Well, Horim, on the shorter time frames, we may, because we're getting very, very close to bottoming out, to making the target on Kraken. So I'd expect maybe a little bit of bottoming, a couple of hammers maybe, and those wicks running the target could be an option, and you get short-term bottoming, and then we get the rally that we were just discussing. And then we could get rising wedge, which could set up another sell fall, or we start getting bigger structure that could even be reversal at some point. At some point, it should happen. I don't think crypto is going to entirely go away. When everyone's saying, wow, you know, it's bankrupt and it's no longer going to be in, and it's just like a full-blown tulip mania, it's going to disappear entirely, and it was just a big, that's when you want to be ballsy and buy. On Bitfinex, you have made targets. You might have it that Bitcoin makes targets on certain exchanges and not on others. as well. So if it's become emotionally distressing still to hold and it's getting super close to your target, let's say you're really big, just maybe pushed the boat out a bit and you're oversized, get your emotional comfort so that it no longer feels like an unhealthy fascination for you to have to watch. So find your point of relaxation with your trade, which if it means reducing your size, trim, take a little bit off. Generally, we say adhere to process. I still think it can get there and do what it needs to do on that exchange. But you don't know it, and you don't need to gamble 95% of your profit for the 5. If it's big, if you're in big and it's significant for you. Yeah. When buy? Yeah. So I think I've answered that one. Thanks for your question, Horim. Older support 1300, but not tested, says Sankt Gaulis. Bernard enjoying Spot Robot's comment. 1 BTC equals 3 snake oils. Yep, BTC bottoms are averaged at 85% from top to 3K. One green Mitzi. So interesting, and I want to give you a comment on your observation there. BTC, he's one green Mitzi. BTC bottoms are averaged at 85% from top to 3K regions. Now, it's interesting and it's noteworthy. However, every time is slightly different. So in terms of being able to, that is indicative rather than precise. So very few things in technical analysis are highly precise, but it's indicative. We could have a 90% this time because it brought a lot of retail guys in that weren't of the original crypto revolution, that over leveraged, and they get a bigger washout. Or we could have slightly better. I don't know if we are 85% of Bitcoins. We probably must be getting very close to 85. What if we're 3.6 or 3.650, let's say? That means on 20K. If I just be cheeky and say it was 20K, we've lost, what's that, 16,400 or 16,350. You halve that and you're already at 80.15 already. So 85 could be quite close actually, but don't trade it as an exactitude. But it's an interesting observation, and there's something to be gained from seeing past boom and bust, because there's a natural geometry to how much people will overreact and how much they'll underreact, but there's different participants. So you get variances in each bull-bear cycle. Spot Robot, Francis Hunt, what do you think would be probable short-term rally in percentage terms? So rallies, I don't think are worth trading, and I don't have a mechanism for giving you a target unless they form an HVF. And even still, if they do, they fall into our elite category or our special case category of first setups in new trends, which often provide overperformance. So we close at targets, and then we leave a little bit on, and we manage for that. Andy C, yeah, Horim, Spot Robot, bullish divergence shows we may see a rally while. So be careful now of divergence indicators. So those that are my premium guys will know I don't place great value on indicators. When you sell off exceptionally hard to the downside, your indicators get so smashed that they become anesthetized to small moves. So even by just not going down as fast, the indicator will start to rally because the rate of acceleration is no longer going up, it's decelerating. But still, the price is going lower, just not at the same rate. So it's a first derivative aspect that you need to understand. Hola, Nicole. Lucky, I see you. Nicole, okay, in Spanish, how are you? I hope my Spanish sucks, I'm sorry. But I hope to learn it one day, although my language skills are crap. Tony Vay's trades bounce. I'm not sure what that's about. All is crashed now. What's Peter Schiff's view back in 2000s about the dot-com bubble? He called it crash, so props to him, but he felt the same way he does about crypto now, that dot-com is going to go to zero. I don't think he's going to be accurate on the zero. You don't put this genie back in the bottle. But he's going to claim, Peter Brunn says 1200 now. He's turned suddenly very, very bearish after calling a compound fulcrum, which is a point and figure pattern on a line chart. So I don't know. which I disagreed with, but I didn't get involved with that. Fair enough to whatever he does, but he certainly looked like he was in the reversal camp, because a compound fulcrum is in fact generally a reversal pattern, although it can fail too, just like heads and shoulders. Yeah, crunching crypto 2.8. So we'll wait for new structure for new targets. What probably happens is you get some form of snapback rally, or sideways movement and congestion. There's not really that much zip in the buying yet, but that's probably because there's still some targets outstanding and there's still some selling. So I'm looking at the Kraken. I will be closed on my Krakens now. So it's nice to see. I'm quite happy with that, because it takes it's kind of like a contract, guys. But originally, when you're learning trading and you have a target and then you see a trade through your target, you go from being happy to immediately saying, damn, I could have got more. That's known as the greed reflex. It's emotional response. And you should, as I teach my guys, toe tag it as greed response and say, if you signed a contract to deliver a piece of work and you got paid in full, you should be happy with that. You don't go, oh, he never paid me a 50% tip, or I was hoping he would pay me twice more or 3 times more. If he was a rich guy, the price would be higher. You signed a contract to do a piece of work for a certain amount of money, and you should say job done, happiness, etc., over performance. So that's my take on that. But it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting now. You'll get all the commentators that missed continuation in the original now trying to regain ground by calling out even bigger bear targets. There's a tendency to be what I call the momentum chasers. I'm not trying to have a pissing contest and throw out the lowest number now. That's not smart. Have method and apply it. Don't now, because you've been behind the curve on the bear, try to get back to the front of the running and say $1,200, or we're going to 100. I can go double digits for Bitcoin, single digits for Ethereum. I'll get plenty of clickbait heads. Jesus, this guy's gone. It sounds like Dow 60,000 or 36,000. The guys that wrote the book at the top of the cycle market. That's usually when it turns. Wear Lambo. No Lambo. This is an enduro shirt. Much more fun than Lamborghinis. Lamborghinis no good on goat paths. There's the helmet. And we went for a lovely enduro ride while the markets were crashing yesterday. Actually got a lesson. Need to be taught to ride properly. Had a lesson and took my special one with me. I call her my little squirrel. She was like a little genius yesterday. I couldn't believe it. First time ever on a manual bike. Doesn't drive manual cars. And she just was like a little genius there. So no Lambos. We're going dirt bikes. Better for the great reset. You can run and hide a little bit better like a rabbit in a bush. So where are we going? I don't think so. Intellectual property right is legalized robbery. IP right is legalized robbery. Dogecoin millionaire. Okay, I'm not sure where that comes from. Spot robot, I don't think so. Hey, Francis, what are your thoughts on the growing number of BTC longs? So that's also a good point. So the longs and shorts, let's just, I'm going to just refer to that chart. I haven't had a checkout on it. So what happens is you get die-hard bulls that will keep throwing themselves in front of steamrollers, and they often get what happens to bulls that roll in front of steamrollers. They get rolled over, and even if you're a bull, it's going to hurt a whole bunch when a steamroller goes over you. The spine just isn't the same after that. So we're going to have a little look at the BTC longs and shorts. So bear with me while I just pull up a chart. That I'm suspecting that there will be further downside continuation if the longs get too high. Let's just go BTC USD. And I'm going to go longs. Just also bear in mind that this is Bitfinex that is no longer the biggest or the top 4 exchange anymore. So it's a proxy. That just means you're getting to see a small sample and you're assuming that behavior in that space is indicative of behavior in all market spaces around the world. I think it's a fairly reasonable assumption, but it might capture you in a sample. That's how That's how these guys called Brexit never to happen. They had a little internet polling thing and polling kids that weren't going to vote. They were going to go to Glastonbury in June, their favourite bands. And all the old people that don't hang out on their internet, who are as belligerent and pissed off as hell, are all getting ready to go down, weren't polled. Next thing you know, you have bookies pricing Remain as a shoe-in, and the biggest long shot ever, 1:7 in some cases, 1:6 in others. And the longs not looking so super strong. I got them at 27,000, and they got properly crushed. They were at 33,000. And if I put the Bitcoin chart on, they got smacked down. These were guys taking hectic losses. I mean, that's a transfer of money from the longs to the shorts. Without, this is the cost of method and not having method. And, there's no other way to say it. It's a big cost. Let's just also have a look at BTC USD short. I'm going to put it on the same chart. I'm more concerned when shorts start to climb too high, because the retail guys will always chase the in, and they will often be late. It could be time, you're banking a little bit and you're not getting caught out. I'm just switching that to a candle chart if I can get it. Line chart, line with break, step line, histogram. Yeah, it's not here. Inputs, let's just see. Let's close. Yeah. So the shorts, if I just scale it, we want red. Shorts have climbed pretty high, that 31,000. And if I look at history, I think that's getting close to the highest points. It's not the absolute high. We have had 40, just sub 40,000 on Bitfinex. There was a much higher engagement during those times. We had 39,000, but we're up at 34. That's pretty meaty, but the longs haven't gone away. There seems to be more engagement in the market. They've both gone up a little bit, but the shorts have climbed super, super high. I would expect the shorts to start climbing in as I'm selling targets. So I'd be closing my trades into the market chasers, the retail shorts, because I know that I've just taken off with Kraken. I need to go check that that's all executed okay. But I've seen the level is run. I had the order in, so I'm pretty sure that's the case. So we'll see on subsequent price behavior if that happens. What have I got for you? I don't want to keep it too long. We had a long session. Go watch that and share it. Do us a favor. If these are useful for you, the way you make it good for me is you hit a like, right. I've got YouTube bot that's going to keep prompting you, but I'll ask you once. I won't ask you a second or a third time. It's good for the channel. And even if it's not good for you to do a program, maybe one of your friends will enjoy it. So yes, I've still got a fair amount I'm expecting from it on downside. It's jaws. So 2.9, 3.13. It is worming its way a little, but it's not in complete meltdown mode. It's coming off. It's what I'd call easing off consistently. And let me have a look on the spot. Any of my premium guys got something they want to ask me? This won't continue, by the way. If I have to go to the hotel, I'll be updating my Loom full on. Market cap was defended at 200 billion. I think 100 is a good target to gather support. That's my intended scaling in positions. Martin with a Y Smith. I don't know. That's quite a smart comment, Martin. I like it. Thanks for that. Martin, is it a Welsh Martin with a Y? Wherever you're from, welcome and thank you for your comment. It makes sense. I'm looking at the $6,000. It felt like a peg fail, what we got. It felt very close to the Euro Swiss franc trade that I did in FX, guys. That's the benefit of this. I mean, I've got experience in trading all markets. I hate it when people say that. They're usually trying to act big. I am. I'm just saying, I've done this for a long time because I love doing it. I'm not trying to get plaudits for it. I copped it up for a long time too, in many instances. But the point is, I remember the Euro Swiss franc fail, and it was just like a walk away and a dam wall bursting, and very, very abrupt. So that huge volatility squeeze, that absolute weakness, the fact that it bored you to death and took so long to happen. And I was saying, it's coming, it's coming. It could be this weekend, never could be next week. You've got to remember, I said, I'm feeling like it's going to be any moment, and it didn't come. So we're far from the timing spot on. The market always has an ability to swing, but when it did, it was a proper dam wall breaking. We were sitting waiting for a dam wall to break. We're saying, this pressure is too much. This pressure is too much. It's going to break. It's going to break. And everyone's going, you said it was going to break. You're late. It's not going to happen. It did. And it took a while. But what happens is the longer it holds off, the more that pressure is being allowed to build, and the harder they're trying to hold the line, the bigger, the fuller the dam is. So that when the wall does break, it absolutely throws it down, and it ends going down, a few hundred kilometers down the river. Everyone's getting washed out. And that's kind of the metaphor and the analogy of what's gone on with the Bitcoin. Intellectual product definitely has scarcity, mate. Just drag some people in here from a BitMEX group for you, Francis. Appreciate you crunching crypto. That's very kind. Thanks for supporting me. I'm glad and I'm grateful. And you're a gentleman. Andrew, hi, Francis. Thanks for the vids. Something with your mic and can't properly hear you. Damn. You're absolutely spot on. I've got a proper USB external mic and I'm not using it. I'm using a different laptop. I should be doing that. I want to serve you better. Let's see if I can fix that right now. Bring the mic back in view. I'm on the laptop mic. That was a stupid one of me. Good shout. Let's see if I can get that sorted time, and I'll see if I can flick the audio on there. Chris, good boy. Dogecoin, intellectual. There's a discussion going on in intellectual property, and I must say, guys, you've left me out of it. I have no idea what you're talking about. It may be a fundamental on a particular coin or something else. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see, audio. Let me get my settings fixed. I should have done this before. That was a bad operate on my side. Why is that? You see property as a tangible and intellectuals tangible. Level broke, lead, moon, Zeppelin cracks down. The Led Zeppelin. He likes a bit of rock and roll on the weekend as well, I bet. Let's see. I'm going to take the browser down. I just want to see if I can improve that experience for you guys. So give me half a second while we're live on that. Not normally on this. Audio settings. Do it quick. Excuse me for this. Should be faster. Have a look at the market cap overall. If you haven't already done, you get some pretty awesome clean charts there. And you will probably you'll have less of a Bitfinex tether issue spike. You will still see it, but it will be far less. And I would say you'll get clarity on your. Let's get that in. Come on, guys. Show video. Turn on change sound settings. I'm gonna have to stop it as it is, otherwise I'll be distracted fiddling with this. So I'll speak nice and high, and apologies for not using the actual mic. It's right here. So I'll speak up. Mind the typos. I think it's challenging your method marketing. Okay. Well, it's entirely bespoke to us, entirely originated by myself, and you won't be able to learn it anywhere else properly from anybody else. So I don't know who you are, but I'm afraid it's ours. And so it definitely is. And you won't be able to learn it anywhere else. Ellis Bliss, do you think we go lower? So it's smart to sell now? It depends what your existing position is. If you're a holder and you were already long, the possibility is it could go lower, but the thing is you just at a key point where various shorts might make targets. So there may be a rally and you might get out slightly better. You could, even if you're exceptionally lucky, get some form of bottoming. But the volume and the rate of descent is not making me too optimistic on that behalf. Eamon is assuming I know far too much about the actual functioning of crypto. He asked me about the next generation ledger tech. Eamon, I'm not qualified to answer that, my friend. Thank you for your question, but it sounds very, very interesting, and I'd love to learn from you on those points. So Hedera is saying pass. We're going to have to pass, but you may find some smart guys in the stream that will be able to give you a comment, and you could go for that. Yeah. So have a little look. Thanks, Bernard. He's just reminding that this is on crypto. My experience is in markets well before crypto, FX, equities. This is why I'm referring you to things that have occurred before, when there was actually a national bank holding up the euro, Swiss franc, almost like a damn wall. That's why I was using that analogy. And you had a 30% loss in FX, two major FX currencies within an hour. And by the end of the day, in pure carnage. And that's huge for Forex, by the way, in percentage terms. So that's why we're comparing this. So this all came out of the market cap comment that Martin with a Y made, from 200 billion to 100 billion being the next level. So we were kind of in the total market cap being a bit defended at 200 billion. And I think it was also Bitcoin itself, as that was something that was in the futures market as 100 billion market cap, seemed to be defended quite arduously at the 6,000, 6.2 to 6.8 zone, where we squeezed in that zone and then lent more on the floor, which is why I was referring to, you keep looking for the trapdoor here. It's most likely to resolve to the downside. Gold could be, Liviu Nita, gold could be a buy. The problem is, first it will get cheap, then it will pump. We've been through this through 2008. When everyone hits fear, actually gold is a great insurance generally. But what happens is everybody panics and sells everything they have to have cash for the here and now. And actually, the sad fact is the dollar will probably get strong. The dollar is broken. So this is not to be logical. Last time it's what happened. People rush into cash. People rush out of emerging currencies into, they don't want risk. It's a risk on, risk off situation. So the complete clear out. So if you're a wealthy South African and you have rands, you move all your rands, you convert them and you put them in dollars in your global account. If you're a wealthy Turkish businessman, you sell your lira and you say, I don't want to sit this. People become risk averse. So you get a flood of cash into the dollar and the dollar actually appreciates. That also allows them to cut rates again, because then they're sitting on a lot of the world's money. And that'll repump heat for those that are being in trouble with their housing that they're over leveraged on. So what tends to happen when everyone runs to dollar is that people sell off a lot of things. That doesn't mean the people that hold physical gold sell it off, but the contracts that are paper tend to get held off and everybody is in fear. So you get first a plunge. I know nothing. Novogratz already called the bottom, and Tom Lee has 15K end of the year price target. Yeah, poor guys. They're not winning on that one. But at the end of the day, I think they mean well. They want to bring optimism. They're trading their emotions and they want to bring optimism. These guys both have vested interest in businesses that sees them need people to want to remain engaged and be optimistic. So you've always got to ask, and you've got to do the same with me. What's this guy's motivation? If he has a motivation, what is it? And most people will have a motivation. I have a motivation. I teach what I seek to learn because it helps me become a better trader. And I also have a second stream of income by helping those do that. So I will say, consider investing in your learning. And I think that's a good idea. And I'm aligned to it and I benefit to that. Novogratz has his profile as you're probably quite clear on. And as a result, it's not in his interest to see BTC die. So he has to keep calling bottoms. And that's a little bit, I put Novogratz to crypto, what say a Mike Maloney or a Peter Schiff is to gold. They're not going to get timing right. There's always a good time to buy when you speak to them. As someone whose values are built around method in markets and recognizing bulls and bears, I try to spend more time about getting timing accurate. That doesn't mean I don't make a lot of mistakes, but I'm not going to do it just because I have a vested interest. So I would say in terms of timing on markets, I have no vested interest. I'm indifferent. I'd rather call what I see than what I hope or believe. And people trade their belief systems. So that's a problem, and also what suits their pocket. They talk their book through their pocket, if you understand the phraseology. And it's natural, I suppose. If you had a big vested interest in that and you were a public person, you'd do it too. Maybe I'd do it too. So I don't say that in judgment of them and say they're scammers or they're evil or anything like that. They probably want it and are trying to, come on, guys, let's go. Come on, lift this thing. Come and engage. It's going to go up. It's going to go up. They're cheerleaders. Does that serve the crypto person who believes them and buys? I think it doesn't, because he takes a bath and is even more cynical towards the industry leaders and the skeptics. I think it's, if you had a guy who has vested interest in cryptos, but actually comes out and says, guys, we had a hypervaluation and we're going to keep going down, and it could go a lot longer. But when I feel that it will bottom, and I'll tell you, but I think there's more downside, he would actually win more long run trust and faith. And I personally feel that would be smarter. Sacrifice for today, the inconveniences of the facts for today, to gain credibility and sustainability in your reputation on a longer-term basis. Never take the short-term option, and do that in all things in your life. I mean, it was interesting watching Jordan Peterson actually write. He said the hardest thing is, he had his 12 rules, and one of them was don't lie. They're quite simple. And he was on that Scandinavian program. Go YouTube it. I'm sure many of you might have seen it. And they asked him, so which is the hardest for you? And he said the don't lie bit. So he says, oh, really? You're a liar? He says, no. He says, well, you're always weighing up the need to actually attain an outcome for the moment and the day versus the long run. And some things you might even say things just out of good intent, but that aren't holistically complete truths, because they might read a bit harsh. And as a result, you minimize yourself. So it depends how big a truth seeker you are. As someone who runs the Reset Sniper and wants to understand and defrag all the deception that gets put to me, I would describe myself as above average in seeking what is the real truth of the game. Inconvenient and horrible as it is to know, I'd rather know it. A lot of people prefer to be in Stockholm Syndrome and say, don't even tell me, I don't like discussing this. I can't cope with it emotionally. So there's the difference. And in that sense, that's why we're the Reset Sniper. And we really want to know who's running it, where's the game, where the levers. I'd rather understand the entire game. I don't want to be playing drafts when other people are playing 3D chess with me, because I'm sick and tired of getting my butt kicked by crooks who have more information. I want the full rules of the game. So that's my take. Too many people are influenced by confirmation bias and high time preference these days. Also, last night's live stream was great. Thank you, Dustin. That's very kind, bud. Blessings to you, and I appreciate you acknowledging us, and I acknowledge you straight back for your manners and your good faith. Crunching crypto, 115.43 billion total market cap and falling. Yeah, that 100 billion looms large, doesn't it? Heinz ICO, yes, says Sankt Gaulis. Not sure about that. Are we in the middle of a 90% double down? Eamon asks. We could be, Eamon. We could indeed be. And we could, some people now going 3K won't hold. Careful with the momentum chasing. We've got our structure for a level, and these are pretty good geometric things. It doesn't mean 3K doesn't fall, but you're probably going to get some form of sideways and progress decay, as we call it, before you get to that point. Teach me, please. I filled in the form a lot of times, but never got the response. Saurabh Verma, that shouldn't be happening, my good friend. We have tested the systems pretty well. If you go to www.themarketsniper.com and you getting started, you'll get an invite to our webinar. The next one is December the 5th, Saurabh. Pop over and then you'll get me live. It's not a canned thing. You'll see me. I can hold up a newspaper. So it's not, I'm not into that super bot type marketing. We'll talk about some of the key principles, some of which you're getting tidbits here and there already and what we're doing. You should get it. What's probably happening is a spam filter is taking the webinar jams notification out to you. So have a little look. Have a little look for that in your other folders, please. We have had the odd one or two person. Did I read The War That Had Many Fathers from Schultz Ronoff? No, I haven't. It sounds a fascinating book, and it seems to deal with the topics around which I do a lot of investigating. Yeah, Wales, smart and lovely. Yeah, I can see it's in you. Well, great rugby nation and the English for that matter as well. And you're a London lad. Well done. Beautiful out there indeed. What do you know about Freemasonry? I have read. I have Morals and Dogma, and I'm working my way through that to understand their code and the Jesuits and all of these interesting topics. So yes, I do go there. I talk less of that. And I'm not fully. I don't consider myself fully informed yet, but it's a work in progress on that. And there's clearly, in my opinion, a lot in a number of these things and societies, etc. So yes, I have open views there and an open mind, and continue to study. And that's part of know thy deception, know those that come in the game of deception. The Pitchfork Times says Sans Gaulis. Yes, possibly. What do you think about Nexo token? Nothing. I don't know a thing about it. And I would not be a buyer of any tokens at this moment in this crypto market. Personally, that's my take. I may be wrong. It could be amazing people, amazing coin, and it could go straight to pumping. Can't comment seriously, but that's my overall arching guidance generally. I will, Spot Robot. I also was reading the World War One, the stuff, because that actually seeded World War Two immensely as well. You know, the shooting of Ferdinand and all of that, and you know, that's just a token event. Pharaoh Evans, I appreciate what you do. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on and sharing and being a gent. And yeah, good luck to you. May you build great wealth. And build your own method, build your own way, find your own way, or join us if you ever choose to. Whatever you decide to do, blessings to you. Okay, gents, I don't want to go on for too long. Thank you for coming on and liking and sharing. I'll take 3 quick more questions. Versailles set up, definitely. Versailles in France, that palace where it was signed is owned by the Rothschilds, by the way. You do best with viewers, San Gaulis, thank you. Tether concerns, yeah, I'm not sure that whole lot has gone away, but you know what? There's so many other stablecoin options now. The truth of the matter is it hasn't failed yet. And if it was to fail, they actually burned Tether coins when people were redeeming them. So I know that it's not popular to say it's not a scam. I don't know enough to really comment, but it should have gone down. Binance still have it. They're a big exchange. I think it was done. I think it was good marketing tactics to hurt Bitfinex. Now, I'm not saying. I know someone who speaks a lot on Bitfinex is and talks of a chap called Brock Pierce, and I'm no comment. This is I haven't researched this. Was Bixweir. You can check out his channel. He's quite skeptical about it. But I'm not sure that all of that is followed through quite like it should, because they should be outed. Maybe they will. The worry is that in the crypto market cap reducing and activity reducing and fees reducing, is that you get more exposed to counterparty risk. These guys have built businesses, costs, based on huge amount of volumes trading on big value coins that have all collapsed. They've had volatility in the exchanges are just like the traders. They've had a pump and a dump on them as well in terms of fees. And if people don't right-size their businesses real quick, you can have them go bust. And if they don't have proper counterparty arrangements with your funds become their funds. And who do you go to? They'll say, oh, it's not regulated. Your fault for getting involved. So the regulators want in and are talking like they want to regulate and want to fine folk. But if things go wrong, they'll also say, hey, we don't have a remit. If you vote for this bill, we'll suddenly own the space and then we could do something. But as you hadn't and it wasn't in place then, good luck. Go right to the company involved. So counterparty information is counterparty risk is something to bear in mind. Don't be too overexposed to one exchange in terms of your fees. Draw out regularly if you have profits. Something I teach the guys, and it's okay to mention to you, is that take hot money of key profits and withdraw it and put it in slow wealth building tools as well, because your trading is hot money, and you give back hot money as fast as you make it. If you put it in what I'd call a colder storage, where you buy some bullion, you get more cash on you, you flesh out a few more accounts across the world, you've just improved again your emotional stability if we are going into resets, and your arbitrage of all systems so that you are good. 99% loss like metal coin. Yes, wow, metal. Pity. Great show today, Francis. Happy to have brought some more people to your channel. Thank you very much, as again, Crunching Crypto. Pharaoh, very good. Thank you, Pharaoh. Lovely little girl, very happy. She'll be seeing me this Christmas, New Year, and I'm looking really forward to it. Buying her a few little things to draw with. What do? I'm not sure, Troy. It's an interesting question. Pets.com was going to beat Amazon in the stock market. Yes, we remember that. Nexo is giving dividend to token holders every month. It's a security token. Yeah, I think I would love the coins emotionally that I'd love to see really win in this would be the hardcore security anonymous coins. The real escape the control structure. But once they get their meat hooks into this game, they're going to make it really hard for those to exist. And I think those tokens could be squeezed out. They'll be continually under hacking attack. They'll have to have some of the smartest devs. They'll be under hacking attack because the secret services run the biggest IT hackers cartel. Go watch the Talpiot program on how Israel's involved in that. Go check the CIA. Go check, hacking is actually a dark state skill. Anyone who's got any good skills quickly gets hired in the NSA or the likes. So yeah, watch out for that. Attacks on security coins. I would love them to win, but I'm not going to feel super safe knowing that immense resources will be out there to make them fail. That's my suspicion, if you want my position on that. So I can't bring myself to put too much hard-earned in there because I feel it'll be vulnerable, and it might be you'll get tagged like all hell and gone if they know that you are in that space. Weekends rugby, I have to check up on that, Troy. You know me, I'm a little bit of a rugby nut, and I occasionally bore some of the guys with that. Thanks for asking. I'm not sure if the box played. I know Scotland played Argentina, and when I last signed off, Scotland were leading 6-3, but I'll have to find out how it turned out. I was pretty happy with the Liverpool score at 3-0 against Norwich, and pretty chuffed with that. But the rugby in British Parliament. Someone else said, "Go Wallabies." Yeah, okay. I won't bore you with all my views on all things sport. Guys, thanks for checking in on your Sunday. Smash a like if it feels like it was entertaining and you'd like to see more of it. And I'll see you again. We'll maybe do this more regularly, but I need to get on and get my shit sorted out for my premium guys after we had lightning strikes take out our power, our internet, our everything. So it's been fun and fantastic. And then I've also had loom failure, so just getting around all that. But great checking in with you. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for being gents broadly. Be safe out there. Concentrate. You become that which you focus on and concentrate on. And if you suspect that there's shenanigans, make sure that you prepare. A man with a plan beats a genius without one. It's okay with being a genius with a plan, by the way, if you want to be that too. But certainly do your research and have a plan, and have a couple of fallback options, what ifs. Just ask a few what ifs, and it's fun preparing, and it's emotional comfort. And I think there will be a bouncy, interesting old road to come. So do be a bit of a reset prepper in all that you do, and all things as well. And that goes hand in hand with building wealth, because unfortunately money buys you more freedom. Good. See you on the 5th of December, 1900 BTC, BTC GMT time now, 1900 GMT time, for a number of things. We're going to talk about the formula for success. We're going to talk about how to trade defense and to survive in bad markets, and then how to profit in bad markets on the short side. We'll talk about recovery ladder, how you manage losses, and how really make the fact that they have to be managed. and a number of other very interesting topics on a free webinar jam. Go to themarketsniper.com and register for the link if you want to do it. It's totally free. There's no obligation to do anything. There will be an offer for you to take your forward at the end of it. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. And you can come and grab what you want for free and go. That's all good with me. And if you like the offer, you'll take it. If you don't, you don't. And that's also all fine. So that is a business element, and that's my declared interest. Okay. Goodbye. Have a safe Sunday. Spend some time with the family. As always, it's always good. Walk your dog. I was talking with my missus. One of the best things you can do, walk your dog. Get some exercise, get out indoors, get some fresh air, and make an animal's day. How about that? Speak to you later.